New information being released by Republicans on the House Oversight Committee concerning former FBI lawyer James Baker under criminal investigation for leaking information to the press. Our headliner this morning, ranking member of the House Oversight Committee, Jim Jordan from Ohio, is also responsible for bringing this to light. Sir, good morning to you, and thank you for your time.
Bill.
What's going on here? What do you think is relevant that we need to understand about a leak to the media?
Two of the top people at the FBI, Andy McCabe and now former Chief Counsel Jim Baker, are under investigation, subject of investigations by the Justice Department. I think that's big news, particularly in light of, Bill, the report that came out from the New York Times, which said that there were folks at the FBI who were thinking that the president was working with Russia. Remember who these people are. Andy McCabe lied 3 times under oath, under investigation as we speak. Jim Baker, former chief counsel, subject of an investigation. And, of course, Peter Strzok and Lisa Page. I think that's the real news. These 4 people had a deep bias against the president.
Okay, a specific question. On Baker and on McCabe, what was the story they were making public?
Well, we don't know for sure with Baker, but it seems to be about leaking information to the press. Remember, that's what Andy McCabe lied to Inspector General Horowitz. I think this is important. It wasn't that Republicans said Andy McCabe lied. It was the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz.
I understand the point you're making, but relevant to what aspect of the investigation of the story were they trying to get out?
Yeah, we don't know exactly what, but it looks like it was leaking information relative to this. We just don't know for sure. That's why we sent the letter to the U.S. Attorney in Connecticut, John Durham, to find out more about why, in fact, is the former chief counsel at the Federal Bureau of Investigation under investigation. What exactly is going on here? We think we need to know that information.
Real quick, what specifically is the additional information that you've requested from him? What do you think you're going to get?
I don't know. I don't know what kind of response we're going to get. We just sent the letter yesterday. We'll find out. We do think it's important. We first learned this in the deposition when we had Mr. Baker in a few months ago for the deposition in front of the task force on the House Judiciary and House Oversight Committees.
All right. In the meantime, Benghazi is back in the news, and you're here to explain why. A judge has ordered Susan Rice and Ben Rhodes to give written answers. In some sort of testimony that relates to Hillary Clinton. Why all these years later, Democrats would argue, let it go? What are you looking for?
Well, I mean, Judicial Watch, I'm glad they're doing this. Here's what I know. I served on the Benghazi committee. We know the night of that attack, when 4 brave Americans gave their life for our country, we know the night of that attack, before the attack was over, Bill, that the State Department sent out a statement. Some have sought to justify this vicious behavior as a response to inflammatory material posted on the Internet. So even before the attack's over, Tyrone Woods is still on the roof of that annex fighting for his life. The Secretary of State makes the official statement for our government blaming a video, and we know that they knew at the time that was false, because the very next day she's talking to the Egyptian Prime Minister, and Secretary Clinton tells the Prime Minister, look, the film had nothing to do with it. We know it was a planned attack, not a protest. So privately knowing the truth, but publicly telling the American people something else. It's important that these people answer questions. Maybe we'll learn more. All I know is what took place then from the State Department is they were more concerned about politics because they were 56 days before an election. And to the extent we can get additional information on this, I think that's important, and I'm glad the judge made the decision he did.
Finally, I want to ask you about Steve King. Here he is talking about him supporting the resolution specifically against him.
Well, I've carefully studied every word in this resolution, and even though I'd add some more that are stronger language, I agree with the language in it. So I want to ask my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, let's vote for this resolution. I'm putting up a yes on the board here because what you say here is right, and it's true, and it's just. And so is what I have stated here on the floor of the House of Representatives.
Wanted to get his words on the House floor there first, but you were jumping in already, Congressman. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, look, what he said was wrong. What he said was terrible, and there's no place for it. I supported the resolution. I think every member of the House, maybe with one exception, supported the resolution that reprimanded and said that his language was terrible, because it was. So I think that's the right move, and that's why you saw so many people, almost the entire House of Representatives, support the resolution that was put forward.
On the shutdown, day 26, day 25.
Yeah, I mean,
I know you're counting, but we're trying to figure out how you figure your way out of this.
The Democrats won't even negotiate with the president. They didn't. He asked them to come talk yesterday, and they said no. And now what did we just learn from Mike? That the Speaker of the House is thinking about not inviting the Commander-in-Chief, the President of the United States, to come deliver the State of the Union address. This just underscores what we've been saying. Until they start focusing on the country and not just on stopping the president, I don't know how you can reach an agreement with these folks. So hopefully that's going to change. I think we're starting to see signs. A number of House Democrats who won in these tight races in formerly Republican-held districts, they're starting to say, like, oh, we do need to get something done. One member even said that she would vote for dollars for a barrier, dollars for a wall. So I think we're starting to see that happen, and that's the only thing that'll change it.
What's the number of those Democrats you think right now?
I think I saw a list yesterday, 8 to 10 Democrats who have talked about they're upset with their leadership. Some of them have said they do support some kind of barrier, some kind of wall, because it's common sense. We have seen this caravan phenomenon the last several months. We know another one is forming. Americans say, why in the world wouldn't you build a border security wall to help deal with this caravan phenomenon that we've seen unfold over, the last few months? So I think that's beginning to change.
You mentioned this letter that Nancy Pelosi has. She sent it. She's not thinking about it. She's actually written it and sent it to the president. We just learned, suggesting that the State of the Union address should be delayed until the government reopens. At the end of that, she says, put it in writing on January 29th, the day he is due to deliver that address.
The Democrats are more concerned about stopping the president at all costs and not helping the country. In spite of the amazing 2 years that we've seen with the growth in the economy, the lowest unemployment, all the things we've seen, they're solely focused on that. And until they change, I don't know how we get a decision. But I think things are starting to break based on these there's a freshman from Oklahoma City. You don't think people in Oklahoma want a border security wall? How about the freshman Democrat who won in Mark Sanford's district in South Carolina? You don't think people in South Carolina and his district are saying, hey, work something out here, negotiate with the president, build a border security wall? So this is the way we can finally get to a solution. I applaud the president for standing tough. I think he's where the American people are, and I think more and more Democrats are going to see that.
The latest we heard from the president on this, he tweeted out, it is becoming more and more obvious that the radical Democrats are a party of open borders and crime. They want nothing to do with the major humanitarian crisis on our southern border. He ended that with hashtag 2020. How do you see what's happening today, Congressman, impacting 2020 as you look forward?
Well, I'm not so much focused on that. What I'm focused on is doing what we said. We told the American people we were going to secure the border, build a border security wall. We should keep our word. It never hurts to do that. But he's right about the Democrats. Remember, their nominee for president in 2016, Secretary Clinton, said she wanted a borderless hemisphere. Democrat Congressman Blumenauer has said we should abolish ICE. We had a lady, Stacey Abrams, the gubernatorial candidate in Georgia, just this weekend say non-citizens should be allowed to vote. Those are not the positions where most Americans are. That's why it's important we stand firm and get this done.
Thank you, sir, for your time today. Jim Jordan, live from Washington, D.C.
William Barr on deck to be the United States Attorney General for the second time. First time was under Bush 41. He stated his case today before the Senate Judiciary Committee. His hearing comes just days after a stunning piece in the New York Times that said that the FBI launched an investigation because they feared that Mr. Trump was a Russian agent. The Times admitted that they had no evidence to publicly back that up. Still, it has some wondering if the FBI at that time was overreaching in its role.
In your experience with the FBI, is it strange to have a counterintelligence investigation begun because members of that bureau disagree with the foreign policy stances of a candidate for president or a president of the United States?
Yes.
Would it concern you as Attorney General if FBI agents were making decisions about when and how to launch an investigation of an elected official, if it was in order to avoid being supervised or directed by their agency leadership?
Yes.
Joining me now exclusively is the senator that you just heard from, brand new senator from Missouri, Josh Hawley, the youngest member of the United States Senate. And today was his first day on the Senate Judiciary Committee. Congratulations on your new post, Senator, and welcome to the story. It's good to have you here tonight. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on what you were drilling down on there?
Well, listen, I mean, the report about that the New York Times ran over the weekend is very disturbing. I mean, to have the FBI launching a counterintelligence investigation, usually reserved for suspected spies, by the way, because they disagree with the president's foreign policy views. I mean, this is what the Times reported, that the FBI was concerned about, or some agents were concerned about, the president's statements on Russia, on Ukraine, on other matters. I mean, foreign policy matters. This is unprecedented. It's also potentially unconstitutional, because the Constitution gives the president foreign policy authority. The Constitution says the president is the one who determines national security interests in the foreign policy context. So we need to figure out what's going on here.
Well, these agents clearly thought that the president was in cahoots with the Russian government, more than just disagreeing with perhaps what he might do as president. I want to play this exchange between Chairman of the Judiciary Committee, Lindsey Graham, and Mr. Barr today. Watch this.
This is a message, August 8th, 2016, a text message. Trump's not ever going to become president, right? Right. Strzok responded, no, he's not. We'll stop him. March 4th, 2016. Page to Strzok. God, Trump is a loathsome human being. October the 20th, 2016. Trump is an effing idiot, is unable to provide a coherent answer. How do these statements sit with you?
I was shocked when I saw them.
Okay, please get to the bottom of it. I promise you we will protect the investigation, but we're relying upon you to clean this place up.
He said, we're relying on you to clean this place up. Was there any indication in the testimony today that William Barr would be proactive about that?
Well, he responded to that line of questioning from Senator Graham by saying that he was very concerned. He told me the same thing. He was very concerned by the FBI's behavior here, and that he was going to get to the bottom of it, and he was going to figure out what in the world is going on. Because, listen, the other part of the Times report is you have agents who are trying to launch an investigation while they have a friendly supervisor, Andy McCabe, who's since been booted out of the department. So this is very unusual behavior. Again, it raises serious constitutional concerns. And I hope that the new Attorney General will get to the bottom of it, and I for one, intend to hold him accountable. Yeah,
you mentioned that in your second question, and it was the whole issue of Strzok and Page saying that they had to really get moving on the case that they were working on while Andy is acting, meaning Andy McCabe is the acting Attorney General, the acting FBI director at that point, which clearly raised a lot of questions. Let me get your thoughts on this. This is Mr. Barr on the subject of Vladimir Putin. Watch this.
I think the Russians are a potent rival of our country, and his foreign policy objectives are usually directly contrary to our goals.
What did you think of that answer? He also pointed out China as the country that he thought was more concerning. Is that relevant to the job that he will be doing? He was asked about it, obviously.
Yeah, he was asked about it in the counterintelligence context, and clearly China and Russia are two countries that we need to be very concerned with, and these countries are attempting to interfere with the United States, to counter us, to exert control in many ways over our economy, over our elections. We know that, so we've got to be vigilant in standing up to them, and I think that this Attorney General gets that. He understands the role of his department. He understands the role of the FBI, and he wants to get back to actually following the rule of law at the Justice Department and the FBI. And that is important.
Senator, before I let you go, I want to ask you one question about the two rulings by federal judges, because you were part of the case that was brought by 20-some states against Obamacare. And now two federal judges have ruled that there should be no exemption for companies who do not want to provide, because of their religious beliefs, birth control under their health plans. What's your reaction to those two decisions?
Well, I think that these are wrong decisions. I mean, I think that the rule that was put forward by the administration that would allow religious and moral exemptions for folks from the contraceptive mandate, let's not forget, I mean, I was one of the attorneys who went to the United States Supreme Court to challenge the contraceptive mandate as unconstitutional, or at least as against statutory law, and the court ruled in favor in the Hobby Lobby case. So now this administration is trying to comply with that, and you've got these two courts, liberal courts, who have thrown out the religious and moral exemptions. What's worse, Martha, is they've issued nationwide injunctions. They purported to tell the whole country what they can and cannot do. And I raised this with Attorney General Barr. I think it's a big problem.
Senator Josh Hawley, thank you very much. Good to have you with us tonight. Look forward to talking with you more.